the hippie culture started being posers in like 1968. Like, let's be serious.
Well, once hardcore drugs kind of got in, it got real weird. I mean, once heroin enters the picture, there's not much room for peace, love, and rock and roll. That's a soundbite.
Free sex.
That's a soundbite. That should be on like a NA commercial.
Once hard drugs get into the picture, there's no more room for love and rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Except hard drugs are part of drugs.
No, we're only talking. Those are the good drugs. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll was supposed to be in reference to good drugs.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll are the good drugs, but hard drugs
are the bad ones.
Stay away, hippies, or else you'll ruin your life.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. I think you nailed it.
Welcome back to Monday Night Conversations. Really wanted to do that all week. I am one of your hosts. My name is Scott Macklin, and across me on this very, very high-tech Google Meet screen, other host, Matt Thompson. Hello, Matt.
I love meeting you on the Google screen.
Yeah, it's part of our twice-weekly ritual. You know what was fun? We spoke today on the phone.
We did,
things.
But you hung up real quickly because you felt yourself talking too much, and you just were like, "All right, well, I'll talk to you later."
Yeah. I knew we had to save it for the pod because we talked about some of the stuff we're going to talk about today, which isn't really that big a deal. I guess. I think
planning's not necessarily bad, but we want this to be more organic. So
here's the thing: like we generally talk about what we're going to talk about, but we don't talk about like our feelings about what we talk about.
Correct.
So when we start, I guess it doesn't even matter because it's not like anything I'm gonna say you're gonna be like, oh my God, are you serious? I can't believe you feel that way.
You've said some things that I feel that way. I mean, am I allowed to express myself to that level?
Matt, you know this is a judgment-free zone on my part. Not on your end, but on my end, this is a judgment-free zone.
Okay, I still think New Kids on the Block's amazing.
Yeah, you're wrong. But no, I think I don't know. Maybe I'll just loosen up on that a bit. It's like I don't need to like surprise you with any of my takes or anything. We can just talk normally and then just use it again for the pod, and I think it'll be fine.
I mean, if you think of something controversial that you know I wouldn't agree with, that would probably be good pod.
Right. All right. I'm gonna think on that a little more. Letting the audience in on the BTS thought process of what goes into a podcast.
I know I like watching behind the scenes. So, I mean, the fact that our listeners get to actually live it with us, good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, I think that's good content. I think it's good content if you cap it off at the right moment, which is right now.
And what's good for them is good for us, and what's good for us is good for me and you.
And what's good for me and you is good for the audience, and we go full circle right there.
Yeah, a lot of goo.
So, Matt, I watched the Tennessee Volunteers play football this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I knew by picking them, you would ruin their season.
Yeah.
And that kind of happened.
For those who don't know, quick recap, Matt provided me 5 college football teams to follow because he loves college football and I don't really like it. And I chose Tennessee because of the quarterback's name, Nico Iamaleava.
Yamaleva.
Yamaleva, thank you. I think I combined Rocky Maivia with an L. I don't know. Nico what's his name?
I think I'm Yama. Yama, like Yama.
Yama, like Yama be there.
And then Leva.
Yamaleva. That's easy.
It is easy.
Yeah.
It was hard. The first like 3 times I looked at it, I didn't even try it. And then I heard someone say it on TV, and it was all smooth sailing from there.
So I chose Tennessee because he's a freshman quarterback, and Yamaleva is supposed to be really good, and every time I've watched him, he doesn't really play that well. Especially this game. Like they were driving with a chance to win, and he just ran out of the sideline and didn't even throw a pass anywhere.
Yeah. So the talent's there. I mean, he's 6'6", super mobile, can throw the ball 70 yards, but it is his 4th start ever in college. And last year he just sat and they decided to redshirt him last year because they had Joe Milton, who's now in the Patriots, as their senior quarterback last year. So he was able to redshirt and learn. But when you're not playing and you really haven't played competitive football in what is now 2 years almost, that can show up on the field, and that's pretty much what happened. But the best part about this whole thing is the team that you didn't pick, the Miami Hurricanes, decided to have probably the comeback of the year.
Yeah, and Cam Ward is just real smooth.
He is moving up the draft boards, and so is Jalen Milroe from Alabama, and Carson Beck, who was the original first pick in the draft, where everyone thought was going to be the first pick in the draft, has really seen his stock fall early in the season, with Georgia just not showing up on offense,
sliding down. I don't want to really talk that much more about college football, Matt. So hold your horses a little bit there.
Well,
but I just wanted to point out
NFL draft kind of crosses over a little bit.
That's fair.
So a little draft content's always a good thing, because you know damn well the second that season ends, it is nonstop draft coverage on every sports network and everything until the draft. So we might as well be a little ahead of the game here on Monday Night Conversations.
I did just want to point out that the team I'm following and rooting for now lost to a team that's way worse than them. And it
wasn't Miami a bad team.
But it's a worse team.
Yes.
And the team that I almost chose, Miami, came back in a historic manner in the fourth quarter.
And the quarterback's probably the favorite to win the Heisman now, and threw for 400 yards for, I think, the third or fourth time. It's you and your aura.
It's me and my mushness, which shows up. It shows up sometimes, but the thing about me is, Matt, that I've done a lot of positive talk, and I talk myself out of mushness. So I'm actually, you think I'm mush, but I think I'm a very lucky person, and only good things happen to me. So that's where we landed.
I'm so glad that you can say that and think that you mean it when you walk, talk, act, think, speak like you're not happy.
I disagree with you. I think I walk, talk, act, speak like I am happy because I am happy.
Well, that's why people are a little standoffish with you.
Got to disagree with you again. People see me as a kind but stern leader,
curmudgeon,
and they follow my direction.
Curmudgeon.
I want to talk about.
I try to be standoffish enough so people don't approach.
I was gracefully moving on. If you want to talk about who likes who more between me and you, we could really break that down. I was trying to be graceful about this conversation.
I was just saying that it's an art to find a good distance between you yourself and the world.
There you go. We're recording this on Tuesday night, and there are very important stories in the NFL that we got to talk about. One, the Jets, sort of out of nowhere, just fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. This is just one of the more Jetsy possible things that could have happened, because if they weren't going to give him the season to prove that he was worthy of the coach, being the head coach, why wouldn't they have just fired him in the offseason, Matt? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
He was never the right guy there. I think that was pretty obvious from everything that you read, hear, see, and think. You see him on the sideline. He basically just stands there. The defensive coordinator is taking over as the head coach, so clearly that's what the organization thought was running the defense, where Saleh came in as a defensive mind from San Francisco. Rodgers won't even accept hugs to him on the sideline. The guy was a dead man walking from the moment Rodgers walked into the building. Rodgers is a cancer to the team right now. He's a cancer to the organization. And he's just a 40-year-old miserable son of a bitch who is now going to drag the rest of the team down with him end the season.
Well, after he handled the Zach Wilson situation last year by not pushing to remove Zach Wilson and or get a new a better quarterback option in there, I just think the writing was on the wall. But I thought it was going to be during the year. Or during the offseason, excuse me. If you're gonna give him another chance, give him a chance. The Jets, they win this upcoming game against Buffalo. I think it's Sunday night or Monday night, and they're tied for first place in the division. It just doesn't make that much sense. They haven't looked great, but there's still plenty of time left in the season in a division that's pretty average. Like you said, they did name their defensive coordinator his replacement, but the offense is the issue. The defense, while it hasn't been as great as many people thought it was, they're still pretty a pretty good defense.
The defense is a non-issue. You have Rodgers throwing 3 picks and the defense fighting from behind all day, and they're still hanging in there. They're still making stops. They're still getting sacks. The defense can only do so. A bad offense is going to hurt a defense. I mean, it's as simple as that.
If anything, Nathaniel Hackett should be out of there because his offense is archaic, and Aaron Rodgers just can't Superman himself to like putting up 35 points anymore. He just can't do it.
No, he doesn't have it in him. It's not like he's lost his entire arm, but it's not 2012 Aaron Rodgers where he's throwing 100-mile fastballs. He's more like a 92-mile-an-hour fastball at the moment.
Yeah, I do think he does have a lot of that arm talent still, but like his mobility in the pocket and to get outside of the pocket has really suffered, and he can't really make off-schedule plays anymore, which was like his thing. He was the guy who wasn't going to run for a 50-yard sprint down the sideline, but he was going to get outside the pocket and make a play down the field.
Prior to this, and prior to his injury, what made Aaron Rodgers a superhero was his quick release and the speed of his throws, and the fact that he could fit in the small window, that he could throw from awkward angles, and that he could hit people at different places on the field. With that said, I believe that his arm is just generally slower. I think his body's slower. Yeah. I think that it's just not in him anymore to be dynamic. And I think that when you have that off-schedule mindset and you're trying to do this vanilla offense, there's not a lot that can really be done.
Well, his receivers aren't getting open, it doesn't appear. And, like, he's trying to go for these back shoulder throws that he obviously doesn't have the rapport with his receivers to pull off. I mean, we talked about this on the phone. The Mike Williams back shoulder throw, Mike Williams wasn't even looking for the ball, the one that got intercepted.
Right, and it was definitely an option route. So it was definitely either going to be a back shoulder fade or he was going to take it deep.
Yeah.
The corner, who is Stephon Gilmore, Hall of Fame cornerback, still should not. He should have made. You don't make that throw to Stephon Gilmore. You just don't have to.
Well, it was inside. It was an inside throw. If he was going to do a back shoulder throw it to the back shoulder. Don't throw it low and like inside.
Well, he literally threw it right to him.
Yeah.
Like he literally turned. He turned around and the ball hit him right in his chest, and he just fell down and it went in his head. Mike Williams is a talented guy, but he's been in the league long enough that we know what Mike Williams is. He's not going to all of a sudden become Randy Moss. That's not who he is. He can he can have the good game every now and then, but he's not reliable. He's not consistent. And Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I'm telling you right now, they are not on the same page.
No, clearly not.
I mean, he obviously Rodgers knows that he's his best option, and that which goes for the 12 catches, but 12 catches for 104 yards. I mean, you're not even moving the chains on your average when you're your number one receiver. Like that's an issue. That just shows the lack of explosion for the roster.
He's relying on Lazard a little too much for my liking, and it just I don't know. I don't know what they need. It's the weird thing for me, Matt, is that like during the offseason, like let's say last season didn't kill the vibe with Saleh, right? The whole Zach Wilson situation, whatever. Like there was still an opportunity for Saleh to come back and really hold this locker room and have Aaron Rodgers like on the same page and gung ho into the season. Rodgers just didn't come to mandatory minicamp, and right then and there, like the players were like, "Oh, Rodgers doesn't respect this organization. He doesn't respect Saleh. So like, why should we really do it?" And at that point, I think Saleh just it was written on the wall.
It's very simple. Rodgers is just an asshole. He's just not a nice guy. He's just a shithead, and people put mics in front of him long enough that he shot himself in the foot over and over and over again. He probably cost people lies. He probably cost people their lives with his COVID conspiracies and lies. Fuck him, honestly. Like I hope the end of his career sucks. He's one of my least favorite players ever. I'll be real with you. I'm not going to take away from his talent and his greatness, but to only win one Super Bowl with the kind of rosters that he had and the kind of talent that he had doesn't really impress me. Doesn't do anything for me. He's a Hall of Famer and all that stuff, but
Ultimately, like the firing of Saleh does nothing, and it just makes the Jets look worse than they already did. Like I don't think the defensive coordinator is gonna step up, be the head coach, and like all of a sudden the team's gonna rally around him and be a great team. Now they might play harder this 1 week and then return back to the median, but I don't think firing Saleh in the middle of the season is really going to do anything except make his 8 kids sad.
It's a panic move. I don't think any of this really helps. A lot of times you will have that kind of new coach bump. They might win a couple games, but I'll tell you right now, the team's going nowhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, with their schedule, everyone thought it was super easy. Like people were talking about a 12-5 season, like a 13-4 potentially. Not even close at this point. I mean, if they win 9 games, that'll be a shock.
Yeah, their only advantage is they have a division that is extremely weak. The Bills are really showing that they have holes, and the Dolphins and the Patriots are probably, as of today, the worst 2 teams in the NFL.
Yeah. Moving on, Matt, some good news. The good guys came back and won in Cincinnati. The Ravens were down 10 in the fourth quarter, and Lamar Jackson passed his way to a victory in what is probably the most exciting game of the year so far. IMO.
It shows me a couple things. It shows me, first and foremost, the Bengals defense is maybe the worst unit in the NFL. Because, let's be real, I don't know if that was real what Lamar did or fake or somewhere in between, but he hasn't done it yet this year, and he decided to do it that day on the road in their house, and that was a complete and utter embarrassment for the defense on every level.
We also own we being the Ravens, because I'm part of the team. We own the Bengals against Burrow. Burrow's 1-9 against the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, look, their philosophy, which is power running, more of a West Coast system. Obviously, Zach Taylor does come from the McVay tree, but he runs a little bit more of a traditional, really a more traditional scheme. It's not going to fool a defense like the Ravens when you have people that are with speed and size and ability and skill at every position. It doesn't match up well with quality defenses, what the Bengals do on offense.
Well, their offense is get the ball to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase in short little routes and have them run after the catch on slants and hitches and stops or goes. I mean, that's really what their offense is, and their defense is just horrible. It couldn't stop anything. And you saw they stopped Derrick Henry for most of the game, but eventually that dam was going to break, and that's what happened in overtime.
That's why you have Henry for those moments
exactly
late in games when everyone's tired and you have a 6'3", 250-pound man running downhill right at you.
And that's a game the Ravens never win. Like not even for the fact that because Lamar can or can't do it. It's just we make a big mistake towards the end of the game, which Lamar dropping that ball in overtime certainly was, and then that's it. The Ravens always lose that game. It never reverts back, and it did this time. So for whatever cosmic reason, the Ravens came out of there with a victory.
But there's something in Lamar's head that causes him to choke. The choking's real. It's constant and it's unavoidable at this point. Every time he is in a big situation, something bad happens. We got lucky with this one, and the Ravens got lucky, but he dropped that ball. That is one of that. If we lost that game, that drop would have been one of the worst plays in NFL history. We're talking Bill Buckner level awful. Not to mention it would have put the Ravens at 2-3 and almost and borderline destroyed the season. Crazy that we won. Crazy that happened.
Yeah, I don't want to call it choking. I don't know. He just loses focus, I think, for a second. And right there, losing focus. Like, we talked about this the other day. 9 times out of 10, he doesn't even have to look at that snap to catch it. It's just in that second, in that moment, he looks away and he doesn't catch the ball.
But he does it constantly. He constantly makes insane errors in big spots. His number, and I don't even know how to feel about it because I'm aware he's God's gift to athletic ability, and he will win the Ravens 10-plus games every year that he plays. I'm aware of that. I just don't know what is going on with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful that the rest of this season will be a calmer fourth quarter for him, and he'll sort of disprove what you're saying. And I'm not even agreeing with you 100%, but it's certainly there's something there. At the very least, there's something there. I'm so happy though that Derrick Henry and Lamar rushing attack is pretty much looks like what we dreamed it could be.
It's every. So I was thinking about this today. Actually, I was trying to form a thought because I was like, God, he's got a lot of weapons, and I'm looking around the league and I'm comparing what the Ravens have on offense to just any other team, and what we have is maybe one of the best collections of talent in the league, if not the best. I'm not sure there's a team with better skill position athletes, top to bottom, than the Ravens. Top-notch running back. You've got Mark Andrews and Likely, who are both top 5 tight ends in the NFL. I don't care what you say, they are.
I don't know if they're both top 5 tight ends. I could give you 5 tight ends who are better.
What 5 tight ends are better than either one of those? Name 5 tight ends that are better football players that you, because I think
Bowers, McBride. I'd still take Kelsey.
McBride is not as good as Isaiah Likely. That's crazy.
Hawkinson.
Maybe.
I'm saying that's 3 or 4 people. So both of them can't, whatever. But both of them can't be in the top 5.
Okay, but either way, Andrews is better than all of them.
Andrews is really good. If I don't know what's going on with him.
He's getting covered and other people are open. You have Zay Flowers running routes, doing crazy things. He is above and beyond anything I could have imagined, to be honest with you.
Flowers is really strong.
And Bateman's coming out of his shell.
Yeah, Bateman is sort of becoming that possession guy who can also has the speed to go deep, which I really like. And Aguilar, even though every single catch Aguilar makes, like he tips it to himself or he bobbles it quickly and then like gathers it into his body. It's very scary to watch, but he's making the catches, so I can't be too upset.
It's just a really good offense, and it's going to be really interesting how many points they score a week, because I think with this type of offense and the kind of size that they have in front of them, once the train starts moving, it's going to get really, really hard to stop.
It's far and away the best weapons that the Ravens have had ever, offensive weapons, and they look like the team that can just do the most on offense in the league, whether that's in the passing game or the running game.
I am significantly concerned about their secondary, though. Marcus Williams really can't play you can't play him anymore. He's unplayable to me. I
saw Harbaugh was talking about him after the game and said Marcus is going to get there. I saw some flashes. He's just getting his legs under him. He'll be back making good plays. So, Harbaugh sees these guys day in, day out.
Did you watch him, Chase? Did you
I
watch him try to go after Jamar Chase?
I did see it.
It was
rough.
It was rough is an understatement, my friend. It worries me, but we'll see.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Are the 49ers actually in trouble? They blew another fourth quarter lead this week, and this one was by 10 points to the Cardinals. They should not be losing that game.
I agree with you. They should not be losing that game, especially when they're relatively healthy outside of McCaffrey. They should be really rolling over these teams. I don't think that they're done by any means. Thursday night's going to be one of the biggest games of the season, to be honest with you. Yeah. It's really going to come down, Seahawks, 49ers. Seahawks are 3-2. 49ers are 2-3. And
Seahawks coming off of a bad loss to the Giants.
Really bad loss that no one saw coming. Geno Smith looked horrible. The running game looked horrible. So if the 49ers lose this game, I think they're in trouble. But if they win this game, they're 3-3, tied for first place in their division. Are you really panicking? Even if they lose it, they're only 2 games down with a lot to play. They still have a shot, but I would be more leaning towards this week being kind of like a tipping point type situation.
There's some troubling stats. One of which is they only scored 1 touchdown when they had 6 in their last 6 red zone trips. That's no bueno, my friend. One of which Jordan Mason had a really big fumble, and they're running the ball fine. It's not like they've lost that whole part of their offense because McCaffrey's out. But you can't fumble in the red zone. I mean
the worst part about McCaffrey being out is the attention that's taken that's given to McCaffrey now is being put on Debo, Ayuk, and Debo. So.
Well, Ayuk
and Kittle. I'm Kittle.
Ayuk and Kittle had monsters. Debo only had 3 targets last game, which is bizarre.
I think they're not sure what to do with Debo right now because I think his age is factoring into their decision not to run him as much. I'm very surprised. I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but I expected the the Niners to once McCaffrey was out, to really utilize Debo like they did 2 years ago with with the jet sweeps and the goal line carries and things like that. But they're still playing him on the outside. They're not even playing him in the slot much. They're kind of putting Ayuk there a lot, which is really where Debo shines. So maybe there's some adjustments they can make. The guys all seem healthy, and if those guys are healthy, I'm not going to rule things out for them. I'm just not. There's just too much talent.
If they stay in the mix record-wise and McCaffrey gets back, I still think he's the most dynamic weapon in the league. I mean, it's weird how how he has Achilles tendonitis in both heels now, like it's like it's a virus and it's spreading. It's just like, how does that happen?
It's like Myles Garrett's feet.
Right, except right.
Right, I've got 2 hurt feet. What does that mean? He goes, they both hurt.
My feet hurt.
Okay. Thank you for the info, Myles Garrett.
Some quick hit NFL stories. Caleb Williams finally looked the part last game.
Yeah, it was a matter. It was just a matter of time.
Now, it was against the Panthers, but he was 20 for 29 for 304 and 2 TDs, 0 interceptions. He got DJ Moore a touchdown.
Roma Dunze
got one.
Roma Dunze is great to say in a Baltimore accent. You're talking about Roma Dunze?
Who are you talking about? Talking about Roma Dunze?
That's not but Roma Dunze stuff. Doing Roma Dunze things.
Listen, when you got Roma Dunze out on the field, he's going to do Roma Dunze things, and that means catching tutties and running past people.
Nah, dude, my name's Roma Dunze. We're number 15. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself, dude. My name's Roma Dunze, and I'm not going to hear another word about it.
Yeah, if anyone's wondering why we're doing this, because that's how he talks.
That's how Roma Dunze talks. The Bears are going to be a fun watch for the rest of the year.
He used to be a longshoreman down on the docks.
Down in Sparrows Point.
He's a former Sparrows Point dock worker.
I don't know if anyone watched the Browns game, the Browns Commanders game, but Deshaun Watson just looks like he doesn't want to play.
It's hard for me to even talk about him anymore. Like, it's embarrassing for the league, man.
He just walked off the field on a 4th and goal when they were down 21 points, and Stefanski clearly wanted to go for it. And Watson, I don't know if you saw this, then Watson just walked off, and Stefanski's literally like throws his hands on his head, like, what are you doing? And so he took the 5-yard penalty because it was 4th and goal and just kicked a field goal because he couldn't. There's nothing to do about it. He had an 8.5 QBR. When you get into single digits for your QBR, that is like historic stuff.
So over under is 8.5 QBR for the settlement he just had with the new lady. Is it over under 8.5 million?
That's a good point. I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, it's a joke. This whole thing is disgusting. My kids are asking me questions about it. They don't understand why he's allowed to play. Why is the NFL doing this? And why is there not an outcry? Oh, I know, because everyone covering the NFL is a partner of the NFL. So no one can say a word about them having a literal predator on the field who is destroying a city's team. It's disgusting. I hate it. I don't even like talking about it. It makes me angry.
Yeah, it's gross to talk about. I agree. So let's move on. The Davante Adams trade market. I don't think he's going to the Ravens. That didn't happen, but I did hear Diana Rossini talk about how he's likely going to be moved this week.
He did make a post of Edgar Allan Poe 2 days ago.
Yeah, we talked about that. But I just don't see the Ravens trading for him midseason. But here are the realistic teams that Rossini was talking about: the Bills, the Jets, the Steelers, and Kansas City. And
well, you're missing one that he actually said that there's 2 teams that he wants to go to. Now there are other teams that are talking and that he would go to, but he really just wants to go to the Jets or the Saints.
Oh, the Saints. I did say the Jets, but yeah, the Saints would be an okay team, I guess. Even though a Carr is, I don't know how hurt he is. Did that come out? Did you see that?
Yeah, it's an oblique. I'm guessing 1 to 2 weeks, something like that. Maybe he can play if he can wrap it. I just know oblique injuries in baseball can last a long time.
Right, because he wants to play with his best friend from college. That he went to the Raiders and they sucked.
Right. I mean, they are clearly close if he's going to give that another try when it did not work out wonderfully the first time.
They're really, I mean, I think, excuse me, I think for the Bills and Kansas City, And Rossini said that Kansas City is highly unlikely just because of the cost. The Raiders apparently don't want to pay any of his remaining like $13.5 million. So he's not likely to go to Kansas City. So the Bills are really the only team on my list that will make a difference for, I think. I mean, the Jets, I don't think having Davante Adams on the Jets is going to make a difference for this team. I really don't. Their offense just looks so out of sync.
I just think if you're the Bills, you really have to decide if going after Davante Adams is going to stunt the growth of these young receivers who have looked really good so far, for being honest. Khalil Shakir looks like a really high-quality NFL slot receiver. And Coleman, man, Keon Coleman is a dude. He's legit.
Coleman's doing some stuff, but I don't think it'll hurt his growth to have Adams for 1 year. It's a 1 year. There's only 1 year left on this deal.
I understand that.
As far as I know.
If they can afford it, yes, because people if you want to compete in the AFC, why wouldn't you get them?
Right.
The Ravens obviously would need to make some room, so getting them would be a little bit more complicated because as the Ravens books work, the way the Ravens set up their roster is you basically have you basically have a ton of rookie deals, and then you have your stars making the money. You don't really have much in between. That's why you see them let Patrick Queen go and so many other names over the years, so they get their compensatory picks, so they get more drafted players, but they keep their studs. I don't know if there's that $4 to $5 million guy that they can cut, trade, do something with, unless maybe Lamar would restructure something. But it might be very complicated to get him to Baltimore, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't think he's a realistic option.
Yeah,
but even Pittsburgh, like, what is he going to go to Pittsburgh and just not get thrown to? Like, get balls sailed over his head or in the dirt? They don't have anyone who can throw to him. So that's not going to move the needle for them much, in my opinion.
I think Pittsburgh you have Arthur Smith as your defensive head and your offensive head, and he. There's a lot you can say about Arthur Smith. The guy knows how to run the football, but he's never had a functional passing quarterback have a good season under his watch ever. Ever.
Tannehill actually had a couple of really good seasons.
Tannehill had the one big season that got him the job in Atlanta. But that's in theory, putting Davante Adams and George Pickens together could be something really interesting.
That's a nasty receiving core on paper. But if you have potentially Russell Wilson throwing to them,
I just view Justin Fields as a non-quarterback. He's more of an option guy.
I don't think Fields is going to be the starter. Russell Wilson is practicing this week.
Well,
Fields I think he's going to end up being the starter.
Fields is doing whatever he can on the field to try to get him to try to give it to Russell. They just don't run a normal offense, so it's hard to really judge when you're throwing when you're just dinking and dunking down the field and then taking one or two shots. There's nothing over the middle in that offense. There's nothing to the sidelines really. It's strange.
But I think that's also like those routes are being run. I just don't think Fields is hitting them. I don't think Fields is a professional passer.
I don't either. He's a one. And this was the problem with Ohio State quarterbacks for years. They're one-read quarterbacks.
Right.
So they're developing as one-read quarterbacks. Fields in college was one-read, pass, or hand the ball off. It was RPO every single play. So when you're in the NFL,
or outrun everybody, because he could outrun the entire team.
Well, he would hand the ball off, run himself, or pass to option one. That was it.
Right.
Or maybe you had a check down. It was very uncomplicated. The NFL makes things super complicated by giving you different looks and giving you different schemes where he is just never truly adjusted. His athleticism shows up and he can run for days and he can have the occasional big game, but his consistency is not there. So I would not be surprised, like you said, if Russell Wilson comes in, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does an okay job, but Davante Adams there just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree. So really, the only teams I do think on New Orleans he would make a difference if David Carr can get back in a reasonable amount of time.
Kamara,
but Olave is a very good receiver. Now he's not a true X, but he's a really good number one guy.
I think Olave is better than Carr's allowing him to be.
Yeah, I would think so.
I think Olave's right on the borderline of being special. I think he's better than most. I would take him over probably all but 10 or 11 receivers in the NFL, if I'm being honest, if all things are equal. But if you had Davante Adams, Shaheed, who's become just a star,
yeah,
and Olave, and Kamara and Taysom Hill, you just have a dynamic offense. But I don't know if any offense with Carr is ever really going to be dynamic. He's a statue who makes insane. He threw one of the worst passes I've ever seen this week. He just threw the ball straight up in the air to double coverage on the sideline. I think he was trying to throw it out, but he threw it like 30 yards in the air, and it just fell right into the defender's hands on the sideline, like 15 yards away. It was insane.
I didn't see that throw, but I'll go back and watch it. All right.
You could see him mouth in the camera, "What am I doing?"
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's not good.
So, yeah, would definitely make a difference on the Bills, I think. Not the Jets, not Pittsburgh. Would make a difference on Kansas City, not likely to go there. Would certainly make a difference for the Ravens. Again, not likely to go there. And I think would make a difference on New Orleans if he can get there. But
I think he would make a difference anywhere that he goes. He's still a really good receiver. It's just, what are you going to give up, and what is he going to do, and what's the actual
risk reward?
Yeah, we don't know that, and that's the question for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. But at the end of the day, the Raiders certainly don't owe him anything and are going to send him to wherever they get the most for him.
Of course, but I don't know if he doesn't necessarily have a no trade.
I don't think he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Rossini specifically said that.
Okay.
And then, the longer this goes on, the less the Raiders are going to get for him. So they want to trade him right now. But if it goes on for another week or two, their second-round pick that they're asking for is going to turn into a fourth-round pick.
There's just so much parity in the league right now, so you kind of can just envision him going to so many spots and making a huge difference.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys, where are they in this? Like, why would that not? They are talk about stagnant. They are stagnant. They either go all in with the passing or get a running back. You can't be halfway in on both.
They don't have either. Well, they have CD, but that's it.
Right, but you can't throw the ball 40 times a game to one guy. So you need to kind of spread it around. They got a nice little tight end, and Jalen Tolbert's okay, but you could put someone else over there. Let Dak cook. We've seen that he can do it. We've seen that he can. Late in the last Ezekiel Elliott run, you would see Dak have consistent 350, 400-yard passing games. Now, without Kellen Moore, is that still possible? I don't know.
Matt, let's move to America's favorite game show. Was the world wrong? Matt, was the world wrong that the 49ers are the number one Super Bowl threat in the NFC?
No, they're not wrong. I still think they are. I'm still more. If I was playing all teams with all things being equal, I would be more scared of them than any other NFC team at this moment.
More so than Detroit?
Yes.
More so than Green Bay?
Oh yeah.
I still think more so. I agree more so than Minnesota. I didn't even bring them up because Minnesota is a great story right now. But realistically, we don't think Sam Darnold is going to take them to a Super Bowl.
They're playing over their heads, and they're going to have a nice year, and that's great. But we're talking about give them a healthy roster. Can you see them losing to any other team in the NFC? I can't. Now they of course anyone can lose any game, but I think they'd be favorite in pretty much any matchup if they start winning, of course.
Dark horse. I know they just lost to the Giants, so this sounds crazy. If Seattle can get their shit together,
I just don't think.
I don't know. With a rookie head coach, it's tough. But I love Geno. I love Geno.
I don't think he's that. I don't think Geno. Maybe it's because his lack of movement and just all the big quarterbacks now just have to move because defenses are so confusing. Really, I mean, most big plays in the NFL are off-platform plays. If we're going to be honest, they're when the first reads break down. These quarterbacks like Mahomes, like Allen, like Josh Allen, like Lamar, these are all mobile guys.
Those are the chunk plays. The chunk plays are the platforms.
Yeah.
Like, most of them are not just straight 9 routes down the field, right? They're
very
generally
rare.
pushed out of the pocket, change. You're helping out your quarterback and running down the field.
And then leaving the pocket also changes the defense's eyes, and it kind of freezes everybody while everyone else is still running.
Hey, Matt, was the world wrong thinking that the Ravens can only play with a lead and can't pass their way to a victory being down 10-plus points in the fourth quarter?
The world was not wrong. I think things can happen. every now and then in the NFL, but I would not want to consistently fight from behind with Lamar Jackson as my quarterback. It's not a recipe for success.
I disagree. I think the world was wrong if they thought that the Ravens could not win being down in the fourth quarter and passing, because they just did win being down in the fourth quarter and passing. Regardless of Lamar's mistake at the end, they still came back being down 10-plus points in the fourth quarter, and Lamar had an insane second half. Besides that drop, it was an insane game. Lamar dropped it, then the holder on the Bengals lost consciousness for a second, and then we ended up winning, which was fine by me.
I guess I have to humbly disagree with you. I don't want to be in a spot where Lamar is fighting from behind. This team is designed to get out ahead and stay ahead. Anything less is really worrisome.
Is uncivilized.
He just makes bad decisions, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can win. I think that is the evolution of Lamar in this offense. I do agree that I don't want to be behind. I want to run the ball down people's throats and just keep feeding King Henry.
You also do watch him on the sideline too. He doesn't even look at plays. He doesn't even look at film. He doesn't even talk to the coordinator. He literally just sits there.
Lamar?
Yeah.
No, that's what they show you, but I see him looking at the tablets and stuff.
I'm telling you. I'm not saying he's stupid or doesn't, but he does not do that in-game work, because they were going from Burrow to him, and I don't know if it was on purpose or what, but Burrow got a headset on. He's on his iPad. He's looking at plays. He's talking to his receivers around him, and Lamar's just sitting there shaking his head by himself. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what's going on here? Like what?
I think that's just the moment that they captured. Lamar is great rapport with everybody. I don't think that.
Teammates love him. I just don't. I just think that there might be something missing from his preparation. I'm not saying he's not the most talented guy. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm not saying he won't win. There's something off, and I haven't figured it out. I'm wondering if preparation is the X factor that he could improve on to get to where he needs to be.
Don't come with those accusations unless you have proof to back that up, Matt. Those are some fighting words you're talking about right now.
Yeah, but someone's got to explain it to me, because I'm watching a guy literally crumble in front of 20 million people, 30 million people every week. And I'm trying to figure out why, because I think he's phenomenal, and it just makes no sense to me. He is literally a different person when late in games than he is early in games. It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, Matt, was the world wrong that the London games are boring and stupid?
I always like the London games. I mean, the fact that we're on the East Coast and we get a 9:30 start. I never thought they were boring. I love football. To wake up, have your coffee, breakfast on a Sunday, and whatever you want to do, you can just. Most people don't have to leave their house till a bit later in the morning, so you always get to watch that football. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with one part. I do like having football early. I don't like the London games because they're almost always boring games and not entertaining and real stoops. And I just look at the crowd and they don't know what they're cheering for the most part. So they're like cheering at like there's no home team, there's no away team. They're just cheering at weird times. It just makes me hate them. Like at least we know who and what to cheer for in a soccer match. They don't. It doesn't seem like they really know American football very well.
I mean, if you're not a football fan, it's a little confusing.
No, it is. I agree, but
yeah,
it still makes me upset with them.
I don't. Yeah, I get that. I love London. I love their fandom. I love in general. I'm a big Premier League guy. It's one of my favorite things. Actually, probably my second favorite league in the world behind the NFL right now.
More than MLB.
Yes. I think the MLB is slowly dying, and I'm really sad about it. I was talking about this with someone the other day that I'm about as diehard of a baseball fan as you've ever known, I'm sure.
No, that's true.
And I'm struggling to relate to it. I'm struggling to enjoy it. The analytics have kind of taken over, and there's nobody with any personalities. Everyone looks like a robot. It's just not exciting. I don't know what to tell you. Like baseball's not as exciting as it used to be, and
no.
I don't know. The TV, it's not really on TV.
I saw Will Clark on a video recently, and he was like, if you are swinging for the fences every time and you hit 230, 240, 15 home runs and 60 RBIs, you're not a baseball player. You're not a hitter. Get out of my batter's box.
I mean, but that's how everyone's taught what everyone's taught to do now, and it's
Yeah.
you have a few outliers here and there, of course. You have Ohtani who's and look, that in itself is its own problem because you have your best player who can't communicate with the public.
Yeah.
It's a problem, but it is what it is. Hopefully something comes along to jolt the industry and get things going, and hopefully somebody smart comes up with some ideas real soon because they need it, especially with the Oakland A's playing in a Sacramento minor league stadium for the next 3 years and then moving to a city that doesn't even want them.
Matt, was the world wrong that Aaron Rodgers is an intellectual and a strong outside-the-box thinker?
I think Aaron Rodgers being book smart made Aaron Rodgers think that he was street smart, and it made him look really stupid for a long time. I think Aaron Rodgers is a very intelligent guy. He's graduated from Cal Berkeley. He's on Jeopardy, winning Jeopardy, Celebrity Jeopardy and all that good stuff. But
he was trying to be the host.
But nothing's worse than somebody without real life experience because who is Aaron Rodgers besides a football player? What else is that man known besides playing football?
Listen, he came up in California being a top football prospect. He was the number one athlete his whole life. He's certainly been coddled and ass-kissed for his entire, at least adolescence.
Every moment since he's been able to throw a football, he's been coddled and ass-kissed, yes.
Yeah. And, the worst thing that happened to him was he fell to 24 in the draft when he thought he was going in the top 5. That all being said, he still ended up being one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
No, yeah. Again, this isn't about talent. This is just about an asshole who thinks he's smart.
He does have wild theories, like the ayahuasca thing and the silence retreat in a cave that he said he was going on for 5 days and then left after like a day, I think. Do you remember that?
He's just a bizarre guy, and I think that there's a time and a place to explore things that are in your head, and that's cool. I don't judge anyone for doing what they want to do. But when you're getting paid $50 million, just do some shit. Just go to minicamp, dude. Like
it also feels like his time in the place is the Pat McAfee show to explore his ideas.
How fucking disrespectful is it to the league, to the broadcast partners, to everybody that is giving you this fucking life that you can't go to a goddamn minicamp because you need to go to a silent retreat? Screw him, man. Think about that. We work. We have people that we work with, work for us. We work for people, whatever it might be. If someone's giving us massive amounts of money, we're at least going to be thankful.
Yeah,
and
that's what like 30 years getting your ass kissed does, is thinking you can do whatever you want on anyone's time, and everyone else is going to be okay with it.
And it's agents telling them that they're owed this and they're deserving of this, which they are. They're not. I hope they make all the money in the world, but also respect where the money's coming from, and that goes for NBA players too.
100%. Matt, what a very entertaining, a very in-depth, and a very agreeable between us episode this week.
I enjoyed it. I got to go build a table right now. I'm really excited.
Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you today, not always.
That's a fair point. And you know what? Go to our YouTube page and subscribe, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. And please, for the love of God, take care of yourself and each other.
So long, everybody.
Good stuff, Matt.